By hand, we can pull this in. Again, if this hangs up at all, or you think it might be the dowels hanging up, don't do this. This is only if you know it's because of the studs, and this happens a lot with studs. All of the nuts and washers are installed, and now we're just snugging them all up. You have to follow a special sequence when torquing down the head, so this is the front, and this has 3 stages. We're doing 55 Newton meters, 110, and then final stage 150. So we have 1, 2, 3, and so on. There are a total of 10 on each head. You're gonna get a little exercise in when you do this. And this is definitely one of those jobs where you just wanna do the whole thing in one shot. Don't get distracted. Don't get called away by your kids. If you're doing this at home, Dad, make me a sandwich. Make your own sandwich. I'm torquing my head studs. Child, I'm on my final pass here, 150. This is when fatigue sets in, people. Gotta be strong. It's a mental game, really. Oh, yeah. All right, 4. Number 9. And last one. Oh, the head is torqued. All right, both heads are torqued. This is looking like an engine again. Next up, we have camshafts. Before the cams go in, we have to install our final guide for the chain. And that one slides in this way, and we can kind of feed it on down. That's disappearing. Now we need to line this pin up with the guide so it goes through the hole in the guide. And then I'm gonna push the guide through. You can see it's gonna hold that pin. To make sure the guide is in all the way, I've threaded in a bolt. And that's good. As soon as you hear that noise, you can hear it's bottomed out, and we can pull the bolt out. There are 4 more head bolts. They're little guys. They go in after the main studs. And there's 2 here as well, and you just reuse these. There we go. Next, we have our idler pin. Slides in like that. And there's 1 T30 that goes right in here. Okay. There we go. Rusty's getting the other side guide pins in, so I'm getting prepared for our tappets and our aftermarket cams. We're doing cams. Everything is nicely lubricated, including where the cam followers sit, and you can also call these lifters, tappets, buckets, and I went with the Black Series version. So you can see here, these are black and they are coated in an anti-friction material. Less friction, more horsepower, and these come on the SLS Black. And I mentioned this as the forged pistons being a performance pack car, but this also gets the forged crankshaft and the rods from the SLS as well. So now we can install the Black Series tappets, buckets, lifters, or followers. Pick your poison. They slide in like that. And I like to soak these in oil for a few hours before they go in. We want everything very, very well lubricated. The Black Series lifters are installed, and they just look so cool. They look way cooler than these Silver Series lifters. That's not what they're called at all. And these lifters do just fine. I don't know, not really. Everything in the valve train on the M156 can go bad. The cams can go bad, the lifters, the camshaft actuators. We're pretty much fixing all of that right now. But if you're doing this job, I would definitely pony up for the Black Series because these can get stuck in place because of friction. It's typically from engines that aren't maintained, but if they get stuck in place, that's when they start to wear out and get destroyed. But my car was maintained, so you can see how they spin so freely. Let's go ahead and get our harmonic balancer back on, and then we can set this crankshaft up to 40 degrees before top dead center. And you do want to replace this bolt. It's one-time use only. And before we go ahead and put a ton of torque on our new harmonic balancer bolt, we have to install our new AMG chain tensioner. And it goes right in the block here. It's got a lot of threads. Takes a while to thread in. There it goes. Use a socket. That makes life a lot easier. And this gets torqued to a cool 75 Newton meters. Now, to torque the harmonic balancer requires a crazy contraption like this to counter hold it. This is Rusty's handiwork using an exhaust hanger, or 3, it looks like. It works. All right, so first stage is 147 Newton meters. I don't have a breaker bar or a pipe to fit over this, so I just have to be strong about it. Oh my God. Okay. We have to do 250 Newton meters now. I have a long extension and a socket that should help. Ready when you are. Yeah. Now you actually have to loosen the bolt up. So we just seated everything. Now it's loose again. Now we're going back at it with 200 Newton meters. And the floor is really helping me out here. Yeah. Now they say you need 180-degree turn, which is like physically impossible. We've tried this before. We'll just see how far we can get. Well, I'll tell you. What'd you get, Rusty?
50.
Oh my gosh, that was
A little
50.
more. A little more. 80.
All right.
We got it.
Come on now. Okay, so that's 90, guys. I don't know how people get another 90. It's always been a crazy spec to me, and we've set it up like this and never had any issues. Craig's car's got like 800 horsepower for 10,000 miles. No problem, so we're good. Now we need to set this up in preparation for timing the engine. So we're gonna go to 40 degrees right there. So you're lining this line up that says 40 with this right here in the front cover. To pair up with the Black Series lifters, drink every time I say Black Series lifters, we have the VRP Street camshafts. So Victory Road Performance takes the factory camshafts and has them reground for more lift and duration. So they actually weld up the cam lobes and regrind these so they're stronger than stock. This is an excellent option if your cams are bad because they're very expensive and hard to find. And these are still totally streetable cams, so it's not gonna be lumping your car around, but it is gonna sound a little bit different. They're good for about 20 horsepower NA across like the entire power band, so we should be able to rev this engine even higher with these cams. And they're coated as well. I am so pumped to have cams and a blower on my C63. Before the cams go in, we are adding a little bit of engine assembly lube on the lobes and the journals everywhere. You can't really overdo it with engine assembly lube or oil before that first start. Now we can gently install our cam, and I've kept all of these caps in order, so we'll hand tighten these. And don't worry if the cam is not laying down perfectly flat just yet. It's because lobes are hitting the lifters at different angles. Rusty's doing the driver's side cam shafts, and I have an exhaust cam left on this side. There we go. Now this cap is used for both the intake and the exhaust. It's one big cap. Last one going on. Right now we're snugging all the bolts down by hand. This is what I call hand-built AMG. Cam bolts are all snugged down. I like to start in the middle and then work my way around the outside. Take your time with this and do it by hand. With everything snugged down and even, we can go ahead and torque these. They just get torqued at 10 Newton meters. It's a very small bolt. And again, we're gonna be working from the inside to the outside. But we're gonna put a temporary